Simultaneously, Kento and Maki, along with others, reached the basement where, unexpectedly, they encountered another cursed spirit. Before Kento and Maki could react, Naobito had already turned the cursed spirit into a specimen, and then with a punch, he sent Dagon flying. Kento was perplexed by the sight, and at that moment, Dagon began vomiting uncontrollably, scattering white bones all around. Slowly, Dagon writhed, undergoing a startling transformation. It turned out that Dagon was previously in a cursed womb state and had now evolved into a cursed spirit. Kento and Maki distracted Dagon while the old man launched his technique, thinking they would easily exorcise it. However, Dagon remained unscathed, its health seemingly infinite. Then, as the three simultaneously struck at Dagon, it flew into the air. The old man kicked it back to the ground, achieving this level entirely through his powerful mirror ability and sense of timing. Just when they thought it was over, Dagon opened its domain, and suddenly, the surroundings turned into a vast sea with countless Shikigami attacking them. This technique was different from ordinary attacks, as within the domain, Shikigami could emerge endlessly. Kento and Naobito were completely restrained when Dagon was about to annihilate everyone. Suddenly, Fushiguro Megumi appeared from behind it, bringing a weapon for Maki. Seeing this, Dagon initially wanted to eliminate Megumi first, but with Maki's interference, its accuracy greatly decreased. Kento also moved to Megumi's side. As long as they could maintain the current situation, they had a chance to defeat Dagon. However, it was clear that Megumi's body was reaching its limits, so he prepared to forcibly tear open the domain to let everyone escape. But just as he was opening the domain, Fushiguro Toji suddenly entered through the portal. Just because the person didn't bow low enough, the man struck, causing blood to spray from his head. Did you think kneeling on one knee was enough? This was Jogo's closest moment to death. To successfully revive Sukuna, he took out 10 fingers at once. As the last finger was swallowed, Sukuna fully awakened. Seeing this, Jogo quickly retreated, but in an instant, Sukuna took his left arm. This is Sukuna, an overwhelming evil. Just now, Megumi successfully broke into Dagon's domain. He intended to tear open the barrier and transport everyone outside. But at that moment, Fushiguro Toji arrived. Everyone was confused because they couldn't sense any cursed energy from him. Then Toji casually snatched Maki's weapon. As a puppet resurrected by the summoning technique, he should have ceased to exist after the caster's death. But due to various coincidences, the technique lost its termination opportunity. Now, Toji had become a complete combat doll, only stopping when his body was destroyed. This is the killing intent aimed at the strong. So the moment he stepped in, Dagon became the primary target. The two began a fierce battle. Countless Shikigami crazily lunged at Toji. The once powerful cursed spirit was now powerless. Dagon was beaten back repeatedly. Then Toji charged at him again. They engaged in a close combat. Dagon was helpless against Toji's weapon. At this moment, Megumi's cursed energy was nearly exhausted, but for the sake of victory, he had to hold on a bit longer. Toji began sharpening his weapon, transforming it into a new one. Dagon realized the dire situation, so he tried to stall for time. Once Megumi's cursed energy was drained, he could kill everyone here. Dagon leaped into the air without hesitation. The old man suddenly appeared behind him. He had already seen through Dagon's intent. Toji leaped into the air. The old man kicked Dagon towards Toji, who instantly pierced him with a sharp weapon. Thus, Dagon was exorcised by Toji. They all returned to reality. Toji slowly approached the group. As they were still in confusion, Toji threw Megumi out. Maki wanted to chase after him, but Jogo had already arrived. Seeing Dagon exorcised, Jogo was filled with rage. He decided to kill all the sorcerers here. He suddenly appeared in front of Kento. The old man couldn't sit idly by, so he used curse techniques to teleport frantically. But with a casual wave, Jogo turned the old man's body to char. As Jogo prepared to deliver the final blow, Sukuna's sensing suddenly shocked him. It turned out that Nanako and Mimiko were giving Yuji Sukuna's fingers. Jogo rushed over following the sensing. Seeing Sukuna's mark still present, Jogo had a bold idea. If Yuji swallowed 10 fingers at once, Sukuna would temporarily take over his body. He took out a scroll with 10 fingers and fed them all to Yuji. However, the next moment, Jogo's arm had already disappeared. Sukuna had fully awakened. Seeing this, Jogo quickly retreated. His power was completely different from Gojo Satoru's. Everyone was too scared to move. Anyone in front of him had to bow down. Meanwhile, the two sisters began to beg him to kill Kenjaku. If Sukuna helped them, they would reveal the location of another finger. But Sukuna mercilessly killed them. Jogo was terrified. He wanted Sukuna to quickly form a pact with Yuji for control over the body. But Sukuna scoffed at the idea. He already had his own plan. To thank Jogo for the 10 fingers, Sukuna said he would help if Jogo could touch him. The King of Curses, Sukuna, had returned. Jogo thought Sukuna's technique was cutting and slashing, but Sukuna was also a master of fire. In the end, Jogo died by the flames he knew so well. Just now, the fight between Megumi and his father was about to begin, but they both sensed Sukuna's presence. Megumi wanted to use his technique to escape, but Toji's speed was too fast. Megumi was no match for him. He started to run frantically. Even without cursed energy, Toji could always find him. Just as Toji thought the fight was over, a pipe inside the building burst. Megumi used a Shikigami to launch a surprise attack, but it had no effect on Toji. He wanted to buy time. Then, Toji charged at Megumi again. If he missed this chance, Megumi would die. Toji's weapon pierced his body. At the same time, Megumi drew a long sword. As he was about to strike, Toji stepped back. His heart was filled with shock. The boy in front of him was his son. He had once made a deal with Zenin K. If Megumi joined Zenin and awakened his technique, Toji would receive a large sum of money. Toji thought it would be better for Megumi to join Zenin than stay with him, so he agreed. Toji asked Megumi for his name. Upon hearing the answer, Toji seemed relieved. He then ended his own life with his weapon. The technique was undone and Toji's body returned to its original form. Megumi rushed to Maki's side, but Haruta launched a sneak attack from behind. Meanwhile, Panda was outside looking for an entrance to the 5th underground level. They encountered several sorcerers. As they prepared to fight back, an explosion occurred outside the city. Sukuna and Jogo's battle had begun. To get Sukuna's help, Jogo risked his life to challenge him. But reality was harsh. Jogo was no match for him. Atsuya and the others sensed the danger. Any mistake could result in instant death. As they were about to flee, Sukuna appeared beside them. He ordered them not to move. Breaking the command would have severe consequences. At this moment, Jogo's fireball was approaching them. Sukuna was still counting down slowly. As he clapped his hands, everyone fled the battlefield quickly. The massive fireball destroyed the entire area. Jogo thought this attack would hit Sukuna, but Sukuna dodged it at the last moment. Sukuna asked why Jogo didn't use his domain. Jogo admitted that even using his domain wouldn't secure a victory. Hearing this, Sukuna became interested. He decided to defeat Jogo using Jogo's own specialty. Jogo stayed in place, realizing his opponent was also a master of fire. Left with no choice, Jogo used his flames. This was his last chance to gain Sukuna's help, but in an instant, Jogo was defeated. Mahito became their final hope. Sukuna watched Jogo silently. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind him. It was an old acquaintance. Just now, Megumi was pushed to the brink by the sorcerer Haruta. In desperation, Megumi decided to summon the strongest Shikigami, Makora. No sorcerer in history had ever tamed this Shikigami. Megumi's action was tantamount to suicide. Makora's first strike put Megumi in a near-death state. Then, it turned its focus to Haruta. As Makora was about to kill Haruta, Sukuna suddenly arrived. To save Megumi, Sukuna had to defeat this Shikigami. The battle began quickly. Makora slashed fiercely at Sukuna, but Sukuna dodged in a flash. Sukuna then used his slashing technique on Makora, but it had little effect. Makora recovered instantly after each cut. Sukuna grew more interested. He increased the power of his slashing technique, but it still couldn't harm Makora. The two continued their intense battle. The destructive force shattered Shibuya. Makora integrated cursed energy into its attacks. Sukuna was shocked that the Shikigami could see through his moves. He started using rapid slashes. Skyscrapers fell before this phenomenal power. Sukuna figured out Makora's ability. It was the strongest predictive adaptation. In the past, Sukuna might have lost, but now he was much stronger. Domain expansion. This domain didn't separate space with a barrier. It materialized the domain. Within a 200-meter radius, all of Sukuna's attacks would hit. Makora inside the domain would be constantly cut by two types of slashes. The only way to defeat it was to use an unfamiliar move and kill it before it adapted. Sukuna used his flames again. An explosion centered on Makora lit up Shibuya like the sun. Makora was finally defeated. Shibuya lay in ruins. Sukuna brought Megumi to the principal. Yuji's consciousness reawakened. Seeing the devastation, Yuji was devastated. All of Sukuna's actions were imprinted in his memory. At this moment, Yuji only wanted to die, but he quickly calmed down. He had no choice but to fight. This was Kento's loneliest moment. Jogo's flames had burned half of his body. Yet, as a sorcerer, Kento still clung to his beliefs. Seeing the pitiful transformed humans before him, Kento made his final decision. Like a soulless zombie, he swung his short knife aimlessly in the underground station. One by one, the transformed humans fell around him. Kento was like a merciless killing machine. After he had dealt with all the transformed humans, Mahito suddenly appeared behind him. He realized his life was at its end. Though Kento felt all he had done was in vain, his kind nature led him to find peace. Yuji, it's up to you now. Yuji watched everything in a daze. His anger had driven him to the edge of sanity. He charged at Mahito furiously. Yuji only wanted to tear Mahito apart, but Mahito summoned his transformed humans again. Yuji intended to punch them, but hesitated at their pleas for mercy. The cursed spirit suddenly sprouted countless spikes. Yuji used his body to deflect them. Mahito unleashed a series of transformed humans. Yuji was flung out like a cannonball. The cursed spirit's body grew larger, filling the entire corridor. A cut appeared on Yuji's face. He couldn't tolerate Mahito's casual disregard for human life. The two clashed again. In the confined space, Mahito's curse techniques had the upper hand, but Yuji wasn't as easy to deal with as Mahito thought. The next moment, both emerged from the curse walls. Mahito, with his transformed body, attacked Yuji wildly. Yuji suddenly hid in an elevator. As the elevator descended rapidly, Yuji prepared for battle. The next moment, Mahito burst through the elevator ceiling. In the cramped space, they exchanged punches. But Yuji couldn't land a blow on him. Yuji noticed Mahito's attacks were more varied than before. He needed to end the fight quickly. Mahito began to flee. Yuji chased him without hesitation. Turning a corner, two humans greeted him. Yuji wanted them to leave, but they transformed into curses and attacked him. Yuji was thrown out again. Mahito's goal was to exhaust his spirit. If Yuji's spirit broke, they would secure another victory card. Meanwhile, Nobara encountered another Mahito outside. When he gambled with Jogo, he unlocked his clone. If he killed the woman before him, Mahito could crush Yuji's spirit completely. Nobara was unaware of the impending danger. Nobara used resonance again. Mahito's clone suffered severe damage. This clever strike prevented Mahito's sneak attack on Yuji. Yuji began a frenzied counterattack. Mahito, weakened by the resonance technique, couldn't fight back. Just before this, as Yuji climbed the stairs, Mahito flung several people at him. Yuji wanted to save them, but the transformed humans exploded. Yuji sensed danger immediately. Mahito appeared behind him. Meanwhile, Nobara continued fighting Mahito. Although it was just a clone, its combat power was no less than a grade 1 curse. To prevent Mahito from touching her soul nails, Nobara kept her distance. Mahito noticed this. As a clone, he could change his shape, but couldn't touch her soul. So, he decided to exhaust her energy. His hand turned into a blade and slashed at Nobara. The powerful strike injured her arm. Just as Mahito thought the fight was over, Nobara fired several cursed nails around him. Mahito was puzzled. Suddenly, the nails on the ground pierced his body. Nobara jumped above him and drove the cursed nails into him. She then used her resonance technique. This attack severely damaged Mahito's body. Yuji felt Nobara's cursed energy. He launched a frenzied counterattack. Because of Nobara's technique, Mahito couldn't fight back. Each of Yuji's punches was filled with hate for the curse. In this war, he couldn't save anyone. Despite this, Yuji chose to keep fighting. As Yuji prepared to finish Mahito, Mahito's body suddenly split. Yuji couldn't locate the real Mahito. Mahito escaped. Meanwhile, Mahito's clone, heavily injured by Nobara, also fled. Nobara chased after it. As they entered the subway corridor, Mahito and his clone reunited. Yuji was shocked but realized Mahito's plan when he saw Nobara. "Run, Nobara!" Mahito's real body touched Nobara's soul. Yuji punched him into the wall. In just 2.5 seconds, Nobara recalled her life. Her face began to mutate. Nobara fell before Yuji. You couldn't imagine that Mahito, a curse, landed the most devastating black flash. Yuji watched Nobara fall, breaking his spirit. The contrast between reality and his ideals suffocated Yuji. Mahito seized the chance and charged at him. This time, he wouldn't give Yuji a moment to breathe. Black flash. The powerful strike left Yuji incapacitated. Mahito began to torment him. Mahito's twisted heart found satisfaction in this. As he prepared to end Yuji's life, a clap sounded nearby. Mahito was shocked. At this crucial moment, Aoi Todo arrived and saved Yuji. Mahito was stunned but quickly recognized Aoi. Aoi once pushed the special grade curse Hanami to the brink. At this moment, Aoi woke up Yuji. He wanted him to stand and fight, but Yuji's spirit had already collapsed. He blamed himself for the death of his comrades. Mahito attacked them. Aoi used his boogie-woogie technique to dodge easily. He then kicked Mahito away. Interesting, Aoi started helping Yuji regain his faith. As long as they, as sorcerers, were alive, their fallen comrades hadn't truly lost. Finding meaning or reason in each death could sometimes desecrate the dead. They entrusted everything to you. You don't need to find the answer immediately, but you must not stop. Yuji realized the truth. Aoi was indeed a true mentor. Just then, Arata Nida used his technique on Yuji and Nobara. Yuji's injuries were temporarily relieved. Nobara still had a chance to survive. Hearing this, Yuji's fighting spirit reignited. At this moment, Aoi charged at Mahito. With Boogie Woogie, Mahito was disoriented, but he quickly adapted. Mahito threw a curse at Aoi, trying to force him to use Boogie Woogie. Instead, Yuji appeared before Mahito. Yuji apologized for his despair and using guilt as an excuse. He turned his sorrow into strength. A black flash struck Mahito. After a long time, the duo was back in action. They launched a flurry of attacks at Mahito. Aoi's non-living object switching surprised Mahito. Mahito tried to draw the battle into the basement. His soul power was still at 40%. Aoi's switching troubled him, so he targeted Aoi. They exchanged blows in the complex basement. Mahito tried to touch Aoi's soul, but Aoi's agility was superior. Mahito was kicked into an elevator. Aoi and Yuji regrouped. Yuji threw a rock at Mahito. Aoi used Boogie Woogie to switch in front of Mahito. Both Yuji and Mahito used Black Flash. Aoi didn't want to fall behind. Encouraged, Aoi landed a Black Flash on Mahito. All three tapped into their full potential. Mahito realized it was time to go all out. He taunted Yuji, becoming nearly insane. No one could use Black Flash at will, but Yuji was different. With Aoi's support, Yuji struck Mahito with another Black Flash. This time, Yuji focused all his cursed energy. Black Flash! The battle between Mahito and Yuji reached its peak. Aoi and Yuji were in sync. After a brief standoff, Aoi used his technique to bring Mahito in front of him. Yuji attacked immediately. Mahito detached his head to evade. They attacked Mahito's body relentlessly. Mahito used multiple soul-modified humans. Combining weakly rejected souls, he created a new multi-soul entity. At this moment, Aoi noticed Mahito's cursed energy distribution. He used Boogie Woogie to send Mahito to Yuji. Aoi then dealt with the powerful modified humans. He thought he could quickly defeat them. But the next moment, the modified humans knocked Aoi away. These multi-soul entities gained explosive power by burning their souls. Their attack power far exceeded ordinary curses. They had strong power but died in one hit. Just then, Mahito retracted his clone. He wanted to finish Yuji while they were separated. Countless curses rose from the ground. Yuji was thrust into the air. The curses attacked him like mad dogs. Yuji kicked at Mahito, but Mahito threw him away. Mahito tried to press his advantage, but Aoi arrived. Mahito knew he needed to deploy his domain to touch Aoi, but using the domain would get him devoured by Sukuna. So Mahito decided to mimic Gojo Satoru and use a 0.2-second domain expansion. Domain expansion. Both Aoi and Yuji were shocked. Aoi quickly used his simple domain. Meanwhile, Yuji ran towards Mahito. He wanted to interrupt Mahito's technique, but Mahito suddenly targeted Aoi. His arm started to morph. Aoi quickly cut it off. To protect himself, he had to. Then Mahito appeared before Aoi. Though his technique was temporarily disabled after closing the domain, he still landed a black flash. Mahito succeeded in hitting Aoi with a black flash. Aoi shielded his abdomen with cursed energy but was still heavily injured. Mahito's technique restored. He charged at Aoi again. This blow was expected to be fatal, but he faced Yuji instead. Aoi had touched Mahito's technique with his hand. His hand was badly damaged, but it was a miracle he managed it. Aoi's body reached its limit. Yuji continued to fight, inheriting Aoi's will. Meanwhile, Mahito took a black flash hit but finally grasped the essence of his soul. Transfiguration. True form. This was his transformed state. After using the black flash, he found his soul's essence. The two clashed again. Yuji thought only Mahito's appearance had changed, but when his fist hit Mahito, he realized he was wrong. Mahito's body was harder than Choso's blood armor. As Yuji tried to retreat, Mahito's body morphed. A blade-like spike cut Yuji's arm. Mahito didn't want to give him a chance to breathe. He charged at Yuji again. They exchanged blows in the open space. Mahito had reached a new level. Gradually, Yuji fell behind. Mahito's transformation left Yuji with no chance to counterattack. To defeat him, Yuji needed to use maximum cursed energy for a black flash. This was his only way to win the battle. Mahito hadn't realized the danger approaching. He launched another attack at Yuji. The terrifying power sent huge waves across the lake. Mahito tried to ambush Yuji, but Yuji was already prepared to unleash a black flash. Mahito quickly distanced himself, startled. He now believed Yuji could use black flash at will. Mahito decided to confront Yuji head-on. He charged behind Yuji. As Yuji threw a punch, Mahito met it with his own fist. Yuji's attack caught Mahito off guard. As Mahito tried to strike Yuji with his other hand, Aoi suddenly appeared. Mahito thought Aoi would use Boogie Woogie, but Aoi was deceiving him. Mahito's attack missed. Yuji's black flash hit Mahito solidly. Mahito was now completely incapacitated. Yuji was no longer the emotional boy he once was. He vowed to exterminate all curses. Mahito was terrified. But just then, a figure appeared. Geto Suguru. This was Mahito's most desperate moment. Yuji and Aoi's perfect coordination had utterly defeated him. Mahito desperately tried to escape. But Yuji's killing intent engulfed him like winter's chill. Mahito thought his life was over. But then, another figure appeared before him, Kenjaku, the mastermind behind the Shibuya incident. Mahito clung to him like a lifeline, hoping for salvation. But Kenjaku absorbed Mahito using cursed spirit manipulation. Moments earlier, Kenjaku had appeared before Mahito. Upon hearing Geto Suguru's name, Yuji realized Gojo Satoru was within him. Yuji charged at Kenjaku. As Yuji neared, Kenjaku summoned his cursed spirit, Great Catfish. Instantly, Yuji felt like he had fallen into an abyss, but to others, he just collapsed. This was the unique feature of cursed spirit manipulation. It can control multiple curses simultaneously in battle. If the technique is seen through, Kenjaku can summon new curses. Yuji charged again. Kenjaku summoned another curse without hesitation. The powerful impact prevented Yuji from approaching. If Geto Suguru hadn't divided his forces during the night parade of 100 demons, Okkotsu wouldn't have won. It would have been Geto Suguru's victory. Yuji was now covered in injuries. As Kenjaku marveled at Yuji's physical resilience, Mahito suddenly attacked from behind. Born from humans, Mahito understood Kenjaku's thoughts well. He aimed to strike before being absorbed, but Kenjaku was prepared. Yuji was shocked. In the next moment, Kenjaku turned Mahito into a vortex. This technique, second only to a domain, merges absorbed curses into a high-density attack. Initially, Kenjaku thought it was an ordinary technique, but he later realized its true value. The technique allows for the extraction of abilities after consuming the vortex. At this point, Momo discovered Kenjaku's location. Kamo, upon hearing the news, immediately shot countless arrows at him. A huge explosion erupted around Kenjaku. Although Kamo's attack hit, it seemed to cause no real damage. As Kenjaku distanced himself, he also blocked Mai's bullets. But before he could celebrate, Kasumi appeared behind him. This strike was crucial. She poured everything from the past and future into it, even if she could never wield a blade again. She drew her sword. Kenjaku was prepared. He instantly countered Kasumi's draw. Kenjaku then used his vortex technique. A curse resembling Mahito charged at her. It seemed Kasumi was doomed. But at the next moment, Atsuya and others arrived. They successfully blocked the vortex's impact. Choso also appeared. His heart was pounding wildly, all because of Kenjaku. Choso's parents included his mother, a curse that planted the seed, and Kamo, who injected blood during his mother's pregnancy. Everyone was shocked to learn that Gedo Suguru was the most dangerous sorcerer of the Kamo family. Choso's anger reached its peak. As he prepared to attack, Uraume appeared. Choso didn't hesitate. He wanted to be a good brother. This shocked Kamo. In the next second, Choso's blood cutter shot at Uraume. Although Uraume caught it barehanded, she felt immense pressure. Choso launched a more ferocious attack. Influenced by red blood manipulation, he could sense his brother's changes no matter the distance. Death is the greatest change for living beings. He had felt Yuji's death keenly. So, without a doubt, Yuji was his blood-related brother. As a brother, he couldn't tolerate Yuji being toyed with. The two were in fierce combat. This was the best chance to reclaim the domain. Just as they prepared to attack, Uraume suddenly activated her technique. Everyone was instantly frozen. Kenjaku told her to keep some alive. He needed someone to deliver a message. At that moment, Yuji broke Choso's ice. Momo seized the chance to attack Kenjaku and Uraume. Uraume responded with a more powerful curse technique, freezing everyone again. As Uraume was about to kill everyone, something unexpected happened. It was Tsukumo Yuki. A girl was eating furiously in an abandoned convenience store. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the entrance. Curious, the girl approached. As she stepped out, a curse lunged at her. It seemed the girl's life was over. But at the last moment, just then, special grade sorcerer Tsukumo Yuki saved the day. They talked about the evolution of curse techniques. Tsukumo Yuki believed the next stage for humans was to be free from cursed energy. Kenjaku thought it was the optimization of cursed energy. He believed Tsukumo Yuki had given up on this idea after Toji's death 12 years ago. But now it seemed she hadn't. Tsukumo Yuki just returned to her true self. The optimization plan has a major flaw. It relies on the Tengen barrier. Only people in this country can optimize their cursed energy into sorcery if they use the Tengen barrier. This would cause significant trouble. However, Kenjaku didn't care. He didn't want a world without curses, nor did he want a peaceful, ideal world. He wanted a new world filled with chaos and endless possibilities. At this moment, Kenjaku's technique extraction was complete. Tsukumo Yuki realized the danger. A curse lunged at the girl. Kenjaku successfully activated idol transfiguration. Mahito's technique couldn't be used remotely before, but it evolved during his battle with Yuji. Thus, Kenjaku successfully marked two types of humans with evolutionary potential. One type is like Yuji, who absorbed cursed objects. The other type is like Yoshino Junpei, who has a technique but a non-sorcerer brain structure. Kenjaku transformed these people's brains into a sorcerer's structure. Through idol transfiguration, he deepened their understanding of cursed energy. Afterward, these people would kill each other. Simply put, Kenjaku released 1,000 evil Yujis. At that moment, Uraume's technique suddenly deactivated. She used reverse curse technique to gain a physical body upon revival. Now, Uraume was poisoned by Choso's blood. Although everyone broke free from the bindings, Shibuya had already fallen into the abyss. From now on, the world would be dominated by curses. Countless curses suddenly appeared on the ground. Kenjaku vanished into the darkness with the prison realm. Yuji shouted for his teacher. Kenjaku looked forward to the future days. He would usher in the golden age of sorcery again, the Heian era. Afterward, Shibuya went into complete blackout mode. All citizens were in panic. After complex deliberations, the high officials decided to reveal the existence of curses to the public. Meanwhile, a little girl was eating furiously in a convenience store. As she was enjoying her food, a figure appeared at the entrance. The girl was curious. She thought the person could help her find her mom. But as she stepped out of the convenience store, a giant curse lunged at her. The girl was petrified. Just then, a figure jumped down from the sky. The curse was instantly defeated. It was the pure love warrior, Okkotsu. As he comforted the girl, the curse revived. But before it could attack, Rika instantly obliterated the curse. Since the Shibuya incident, the higher-ups began to act. Okkotsu was ordered to kill Yuji. Gojo Satoru was exiled from the sorcery world due to the Shibuya incident. Geto and Yaga were sentenced to death as the orchestrators of the Shibuya incident.